I'll take Unbox 2. Tony Jaa just rips that movie apart. So that's just watching Tony Jaa bust ass and do the craziest fight sequences. Yo, what's up? You got the RZA right here. I'm here to talk about my new film, Cutthroat City. It's a film about 4 young men, post-Katrina, New Orleans. It's a movie that's looking at social problems and how a disaster can change your trajectory. And it's also a movie about how the system demarginalized certain communities and leave them with no options. I didn't make the film with the idea that we'll be going through what we're going through now. It's not ironic, but it's something appalling about it because this film is set in 2005. And you would think 15 years later, we would have better solutions and we would have evolved to deal with certain things better. But unfortunately, we have not. I wanted to be timeless as a piece of art. I do not want to see the situation in this film continue to be the problem in the Black community or poor communities or underprivileged, underserved communities anywhere, y'all. And Hurricane Katrina was devastating to the country, but most importantly, it was devastating to the lower Ninth Ward. And those people have not really recovered from that 15 years later. They've recovered as human beings. They're beautiful, warm people, but there's still a house right next to a abandoned house with an X on it. It's still like you can see the remains of it, the footprints of it. And that doesn't really make sense when you're looking at such a rich and powerful country and system. It doesn't really make pragmatic sense. And when you look at the coronavirus, and as I watch the news, it's like they say that proportionally more Black and brown people are being killed by this virus, and also they say they had on the news in the poor communities, they're getting hit the hardest, right, because of lack of resources, and yet we hear that we get stimulus economics to try to help the people, and the money don't reach the people. Hopefully the film, just continues the conversation and maybe spark, the more we have conversations, maybe somewhere we'll find an answer, right? As scientists, they talk through theories and they figure out, you take something that Einstein said, and you take something that Newton said, and you put it together and you figure something out. Hopefully these conversations could spark some solutions. If I had to take 5 Kung Fu movies to a desert island, I would pick 36 Chambers of Shaolin, the training sequences and the ideas of building your wrists, your eyes, your feet, your balance, your arms. That film would always, on a desert island, when you started getting whatever you learned to build that up. 8 Diagram Pole Fighters is about loyalty and perseverance and realizing that sometimes you gotta fight the wolves off away from you. On a desert island, you would need to have that mentality. I'll take Unbox 2. Tony Jaa just rips that movie apart. So that's just watching Tony Jaa bust ass and do the craziest fight sequences. I would choose one of the Jet Li's Once Upon a Time in China.
So when China is under foreign attack, they can defend it with honor.
That's more of watching culture and the historical thing of Eastern and Western science meeting. Remember, like the movie was based on East meets West and the cultural exchange and what that brings. And then, as far as the 5 Deadly Venoms, that's just one of my favorite movies that really inspired me to get into the martial arts movies, and I always pay homage to that.
He practiced the lizard style. The lizard is a very agile and nimble style, and particularly effective in climbing.
The first Kung Fu film that I saw was actually a spliced up film of Bruce Lee clips from The Green Hornet. It was called Fury of the Dragon, when they had it in the theaters. And it was a double feature. It was Fury of the Dragon playing with a Jim Kelly movie called Black Samurai. And those were the first ones I saw. And that was the first time I seen that type of action on the screen.
Murderous to know.
Mind you, I only been to the movies a few times at that age anyway. Movies was not, it was a big, big treat to have a couple of dollars in your pocket to go to the movies, But those were the first ones I saw, and I just loved the action. And then maybe a few months later, my cousin took me to 42nd Street. Your feet would stick to the floor because there was so much grime on it. It was actually not a place that I should have been in. I couldn't send my son there. It was dangerous just to be there, but it still was exciting. And we watched a triple feature, which was, if I recall, one was called The Fist of Double K, The Godfather of Hong Kong, and The Fearless Fighters. And The Fearless Fighters was crazy because in the movie, there's a lady who flies across the river with a kid on her back. And I just never forget the whole audience screaming like, and you want to hear something funny about The Fearless Fighters? There's a character in The Fearless Fighters whose name is the One Man Army. And this is where ODB be like, I'm the One Man Army, hey son. Would you believe that my business before I formed Wu-Tang Clan, before we became publicly Wu-Tang Clan, even though we was already just homies like that. When I was in Ohio, I had my own video store, and I was in business for maybe about 4 months before I got into trouble and all other type of things, and I eventually abandoned that. But I bought like hundreds, thousands actually, of VHSs back to my East Coast home, and during the 90s, we were popping in. Ghostface was my partner, just to get another laugh out of that.